So we do see these accomplishments here, and Tord, I mean, we've seen these before. Won all the internationals.
As well as plenty of other accomplishments. There's literally not enough room. You wouldn't even see Tord's face if we listed the amount of accomplishments. And we can honestly say the same for Pablo. He's been around, as you've seen, since 2005, playing this game at an exceptionally high level, coaches, casts, does all sorts of content, and of course is a phenomenal player.
Yeah, world's top 4, Oceania finalists, regional winners. I mean, just an absolutely phenomenal resume there from Pablo. And two very popular players, you know, two players out there who are going to have a lot of people who look up to them, who have been watching them for years now and, you know, really are just fans of them. And they are both lovely people. You know, we saw Pablo earlier on in the week and had a good chance to chat with him, you know, in advance of the event. And it's lovely to see these players that have put so much into the game and given so much back to the community, you know, getting their success. It's a little bit of a shame we're going to have to say goodbye to one of them, but, you know, only one of them can go and fight Alex in the final. And I think we said earlier, nominally, you saw the win from Pablo in the previous round. It looks like Pablo is probably a slight favourite on paper, but let's face it, Tord's not really used to losing very much. Yeah,
we can see already Pablo trying to get on with it with that coin flip. This might be a big flip, as Tord is getting his deck shuffled up as well. Both players making sure that everything is nice and randomized here. It does feel like it's going to be Tord kind of on the back foot. I would imagine Mew will be the aggressor. That's typically how we see this matchup go. It gets set up so easily with its Fusion Strike systems from Genesect Vs, and then tries to throw curveballs at Tord, whilst he will just try and cycle through his deck as much as possible with his Curlier, his Greninja, even the likes of his Mew can get involved. But he also has to be pretty careful. He may want to limit his number of multi-prizes that he puts into play, because there are cards like Echoing Horn, and we know how easy it is for Mew to jump ahead in a prize race so far that they can't be caught.
Yeah, absolutely. That Echoing Horn Boss's Orders combo is one I'm a huge fan of. Grab a card from the basic Pokemon from the discard pile, put it on your opponent's bench, and then just grab it straight back up again. So, you know, little Pokemon like Luminion, if they hit the discard pile, they could end up being quite good targets for Pablo, just kind of going for that Echoing Horn Boss's Orders combination. So there are a bunch of options here for Pablo. It's not just quite as straightforward as get rolling and, you know, really just go aggressive with Mew, but certainly in the first couple turns, that's what we're going to see Pablo going. You really want to see, if you go first, a turn 2 attack, and then basically just keep going over and over again, getting a KO every single turn as you go through the game.
Don't see a huge amount going on in Tord's hand. I think Pablo's was slightly better with an Ultra Ball already in there, but 2 VMAXs are in the prizes. That's definitely a bit of a worry. He plays 3 of them and doesn't have anything like Silene. Is actually choosing to play an Avery as a pretty interesting supporter in the deck list instead, perhaps.
And Tord's prize both his Ash and V.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That is really not good. It can deny the Skysail Stone play that we've already outlined as a big option. But here we are, lift off, and it's a top deck of Battle VIP pass for Pablo.
That's a nice top deck for, you know, you're starting off your top 4, get your Battle VIP pass. That's really big. Going searching out, and presumably it's going to be, I mean, standard here is Genesect and a Mew, but you can always go double Genesect just to draw a huge amount of cards and really go aggressively on the draw early on.
Yeah, Pablo can be safe in the knowledge that he's not under too much pressure early on from Tord's deck. Both players have full knowledge at this point of what the opponent is playing, so could also see triple Genesect hit the board here, but also weaving in between your Mew is always something that you want to keep an eye on. He's actually got an exceptional hand for next turn. May just want to hold on to the Ultra Ball and just have that Judge Path combo that you can start spamming early. It's so interesting to see how Mew has evolved throughout the format and stayed relevant. It used to be quaking in fear of Path to the Peak. Now it plays 4 copies.
I know, that was for a long time. That was the way you countered Mew. You countered it using Path to the Peak, turning off Genesect's Fusion Strike system and really slowing them down. And then Mew players kind of discovered, well, hang on a second, if I get set up, I don't need very much once I'm rolling, and I've got my Mew and my energy, so maybe I get rolling faster than you, and then I play Path so you don't draw anything. And worst case scenario, if you counter the Path, hey, my Genesect's turned back on, and I'm completely off and rolling again. It's weird how that's gone around, but yeah, Mew does seem to have an exceptional way of going, oh, the count, I'm just amazed Mew isn't playing Drapion, although I have seen some Mew play Drapion.
Possible, for sure. Pablo taking a more reserved approach and keeping with that 4-card hand. I think it's a decent shout because his hand was essentially exceptional for next turn.
Yeah.
So happy to leave things over to Tord, who only has a level ball.
Yeah, and we've seen Tord in previous games really want to go for that Zash and V early, start putting some early pressure on. Of course, there aren't those early prizes to go for here, which is a little bit of a pain. Now, if Tord goes first, then there is a possibility of getting kind of early KOs on things like Mew potentially, but that's not really an option going second, and it is a 2-prize liability. So even though it is prized, there's an argument here Tord wouldn't want it. It's a moot point anyway, but really here, Tord knows he's staring down a KO next turn. He just needs to get rolling it's as fast as he can. He can't let Pablo go too far ahead in the prize race.
Tord, rather than just going for a Ralts, which would be a pretty abysmal turn, will now be going for the lucky dip of the Mysterious Tail Mew. He would have the option of Battle VIP Pass, which would be huge, but also looking for possibly even Ultra Ball to get into Luminion. There are risks. It's a multi-prizer, but it's got to get you in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Luminion's an awkward one. You never actually want to play Luminion. Like, you very, very rarely actually want to play Luminion. It's a 2-prize Pokemon, and it's got very low HP. It's not one you really want to hit the board. It's more one of those, you play it because you have to, because anytime you play Luminion, unless you start with it, it's a case of the downside of playing Luminion is not as bad as the downside of drawing nothing and losing the game.
Oh wow, Tord actually playing the Penny now,
Ooh.
picking up the Cresselia. That means Tord can no longer Luminion into something, so he's essentially just looking for Battle VIP Pass here.
Oh, he needs to get it here. This is pretty big, and he does hit it off of the Mew. And that was a bit of a gamble there, you know, using your supporter for the turn just to get Mew into the active. But hitting that Battle VIP pass, going forward, you've got to imagine a couple of routes here. You could go for Radiant Greninja. You do have an energy in hand to draw. But then if you're passing the turn with only 1 routes on the bench, that is a very risky proposition.
Man, it's top 4 of an international championships, and Tord's just out here gaming. He's just saying, let's lucky dip this. Amazing to see with that double Ralts. And it now means Tord can pay retreat out of this Mew. Oh, actually has the Psych Energy for Greninja, so can see 2 more cards here. I think the big differential here and why we saw a Penny rather than a pay retreat is because Tord's actually holding on to 2 of his stadiums, I believe, already in hand. So even if he was able to find Ultra Ball for Luminion, he wouldn't be able to use a nice supporter like Professor's Research. He'd be forced into a Judge or something like that, which would be equally awkward.
Yeah, Judge is great when you're set up and you're slowing down your opponent and you've got plenty of draw on your field. Judge is not great when it's an early game and you're just really looking to get set up. So Tord does go for the Radiant Greninja here, having the energy in hand for concealed cards, probably a big part of that decision. And you've got Rouse, but this could be kind of awkward. If Tord
Still a big gamble, yeah.
If he ends a turn with a single Rouse and Pablo just goes Mew VMAX Energy Boss's Orders, which is not that much for Mew with all this drawing, this could end up backfiring very quickly. So here are the concealed cards.
Oh, wow.
Not
3
bad.
Ralts, he essentially gets the refund, which is exceptional. So I think on reflection, you're pretty happy with this. You got to see an extra couple cards, and you keep your Radiant Greninja on the board. You aren't able to retreat now with losing your energy, so you are going to have to sacrifice this Mew. But from where we started, Tord's at least got a semblance of a board.
This is not too bad. That was a big risk, but it paid off. Instead of getting a Rouse, you got a Rouse and a Radiant Greninja and a Manaphy for what it's worth. Just you're getting an extra card out of the deck, really. So now it's over to Pablo, and Pablo understands the assignment. You need to go after those routes. Your opponent only has 2. The quicker you can get rid of them, the more likely it is they draw nothing. But it looks like there's nothing in Pablo's hand, which is going to get him close to a boss's orders yet. But of course, Genesec's Fusion Strike system, you can empty out your hand and just start drawing a bunch of cards and look for that boss's orders.
Yeah, your hand is only half the story with Mew, maybe even less because of how many cards you can see in a turn with Fusion Strike system. So Pablo just holding on to the Judge, just in case essentially, but will still be looking to pick apart Tord's board instead. Even just grabbing things like Escape Rope could be huge here. He plays a couple copies because it feels like Mew is still helpful at drawing cards, but you want to start picking apart these Ralts instead.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Judge isn't a terrible plan. If your opponent's not got very much, take a KO on the active Mew, and then, because the KO's already on the board, that's easy. Yeah. And then just kind of, you know, wait for next turn. Hopefully your opponent draws very little. But yeah, that is what we're going for here. We do have the Judge. So essentially just saying, I don't think I'm going to get the boss's orders. I'm not willing to expend enough resources to dig for it. And honestly, with the board you've got at the moment, I think putting you down to a 4-card hand is going to hurt.
Yep, this is still a great play for Pablo. And even if it does end up just being the Mew, you're still denying, you know, a 6-card dig into the deck to find more Fog Crystals, find more level balls that can grant Tord a ton of value. So every threat currently on Tord's board is worth knocking out.
Yeah, absolutely. That Mew came in beautifully clutch in turn 1, getting the Battle VIP pass, and we're probably not going to see that level of love for the Mew, but it could absolutely go and get something like a level ball for a Curlier, which then ends up getting you a draw engine or something along those lines, so it's certainly not a bad option. We do see a Feather Ball coming down here, a card we only really see in the Mew V Max deck. It can get you a Pokemon with free retreat, but given that Mew and Mew V Max have free retreat, pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very cheeky one-off. It didn't really see the light of day in the pre-rotation format because we just simply had better ball search cards. But now it sort of joins in alongside Nest Ball as kind of a one-off that can help you get, you know, half of your deck essentially, which is really worthwhile when part of your mission is filling your board early because of this. Look, now you can Fusion Strike system for even more cards.
Yeah, it's kind of lovely. Of course, it can't get your Genesect, but your Pokemon line here is 4 Mew V, 3 Mew V Max, and 4 Genesect. So we can get 7 of your 11 Pokemon. That is not too bad at all. So yeah, it's not going to be a 4, or it's not going to be your main search, but as a nice little bonus, it's quite lovely. So we do see the belt coming down here on the Mew. Really, that's just filling it at the hand. It's unlikely to be terribly relevant in this matchup. And it looks like we're going to see the retreat into the V Max.
Yep.
Do we have anything else going on? Do we want to put the path down to combo with the Judge here? Is Pablo's board good enough that he can afford to put down the path to the peak? He's thinking about it. It is going down. So we've got the Judge, we've got the path. Pablo gets the first KO and basically says to Tord, so how well do you draw off that Judge?
And making the Greninja no longer a viable option. And Pablo actually takes from the prize cards of V Max, which could really help him continue to chain these attacks next turn. So that's a really good prize card to pick up for Pablo very early.
Oh, double Curlier energy and a Professor's Research. I mean, that is literally perfect.
Pablo, my goodness. To be Tord Reklev, you know what I mean?
I think they would literally be the 4 cards you would want here.
My goodness.
That is just absurd. Getting double Curlier, energy to retreat the Greninja, which you absolutely need, and then the Professor's Research. I mean, I'm assuming Tord's going to get a counter stadium here because, you know, he's got everything else.
He has. He actually has, you know.
Of course he has. Oh, this is wonderful from Tord here. No, he's still behind in the game. He's still down by a prize. We will not be seeing a Gardevoir this turn, but that's got to be a big sigh of relief when that's where you started from.
And this is a big reason why the quad Professor's Research has been so good this weekend for Tord. Conventional wisdom has been, let's play a scatter of single supporters, which Tord is doing, but he's also found the space for 4 Professor's Research, which often wasn't found in the deck. We were seeing cards like Arven, a higher judge count than Tord's playing in replacement of these research, but Tord's essentially done what I think he did with his Zoroark deck. He went, I want a really high count of Bridget, so that I just get into the game. And in this case, it's just saying, I want 4 copies of research, so I just get into the game.
Absolutely. Tord is playing 6 one-off supporters.
Right.
But in addition to that, 4 Professor's Research, because that is the one you want to go for. You've got Luminion if you want to be cherry-picking the other ones, which is always a nice thing. You've got Palpad, which can allow you to recover these supporter cards if they're particularly useful in any game. But especially in the early game, 4 Professor's Research gives you a good chance of finding it pretty early, especially when you've got stuff like Curlier, which should be on board turn 2, and it just gets deep down into your deck because you need to get those Gardevoir. You can fall down a couple prizes, your comeback potential is there, but you need to actually make sure that you get the comeback.
Yep, and you know that as you progress through the game, you can simply then throw away those excess research once you can fall back on the remaining, the engine that gets powered up. Eventually, we will see the collapsed stadium. It will unlock Tord's use of Radiant Greninja now, and that's where a Psychic Energy is going to get pitched here for 2 more cards.
And it does need Pablo to get rid of a Genesect,
right.
And the existing Genesect are now only drawing until there's 5 cards in hand. So that could be awkward if Pablo doesn't have another Genesect and a replacement stadium soon.
Very easy refinement away of Battle VIP Pass.
Oh, you love to see it.
Yeah, one of the biggest strengths of this ability is not only that you're cycling, but you're also thinning all the worst cards out of your deck when they become far less useful. And as we know, Pablo's approach is going to be try and hand disrupt over and over again. So as you start to filter the worst cards, you're inevitably going to draw into just the good stuff.
Yeah, and that's always nice when you can just keep the good stuff, get rid of the rubbish, and just have a nice streamlined deck. We've actually got Professor's research in hand right now. There are a few other things you might not want to get rid of, and it looks like we are...
Just a pass.
Yeah, and you got to pass, because you got 2 routes, 2 curly route. You want to start your swarm of Gardevoir. Pablo's going to take a prize. That's already on board. So at least... hopefully he's going to take the right one. And now as it stands at the moment, we've not seen a boss's orders, we are seeing a judge, but there is always a chance that Pablo can get an escape rope here. There are 2 in the deck, just to force up one of the, what would probably be one of the routes, but you don't really want to give up one of the routes, so Tord's crossing his fingers here. No escape rope.
Yeah, Pablo spinning that wheel again, really just trying to say, Tord, please don't draw cards as well as you did that last turn. I'm trying to get ahead in this game here.
Absolutely. So, where are we going here? We've got the 4 cards from Judge. We do see a path to the peak, which is quite nice to get rid of that collapsed stadium if that's where you want to go and hopefully hurt your opponent. But I kind of love this. It's, well, I might as well use my Genesect before, and you get 1 card, it's your Forest Seal Stone, which turns into any card. Not bad.
And I believe Pablo has discarded 1 Path to the Peak early, so he only has 2 remaining. And the timing of these are going to be crucial. If you do them in the opening stages, you are denying that Radiant Greninja. But seeing as though we don't see an escape rope, I feel like he's going to hold on to this Path of the Peak for later on, because you're going to be shutting off that Psychic Embrace and trying to weave it in with even more judges, and possibly even Roxanne if he gets the chance.
Yeah, and that is going to be something which is always going to be fun to have a play with. So we do see the retreat into the other Mew. Of course, if you're copying Genesect's attack, you cannot do it on consecutive turns.
Right.
But free retreat, 2 Mew with energy on. They're identical. They've even both got a choice belt at this stage. We see the KO on the Greninja, and then Tord's kind of dodged a little bit there. Yeah. Tord has managed to give up 2 prizes without giving up any routes or any Curlier. It's been no support Pokemon, and this is the best case scenario for Tord, because you're going to go down prizes. At least you've lost essentially the least important Pokemon.
And Tord's hand is looking pretty unfair again. He's got Ultra Ball, he's got Rare Candy, and he has the option of an additional Curlier. He's also just refined into 2 Fog Crystals, and your main goal this matchup is getting rid of Psychic Energy. That's incredible.
Tord is high rolling in this game, Joe. He is driving everything he needs to get, getting the Battle VIP pass off the Mew, getting the best hand we've ever seen off of a Judge, then getting the Fog Crystal off of the refinement. This is working very, very well. And this is what Tord needs in this game, because Pablo is going to be taking prizes early and often, and Tord is going to need a bit of comeback potential. Tord is going to need a little bit of luck. And, you know, we've said it before, but it bears repeating. These players played in round 14 in a win and in for top 8, and Pablo came out victorious, and Tord had to win his round 15 game to get into top 8. So that's got to be kind of something that's on Tord's mind of, hang on a second, you did it once, you got the win, lovely. I'd like to get the far more important win.
Tord checking out how many Psychic Energy he has been through. Has drawn into a Professor's research, but it's alongside that Pal Pad, which is a little bit awkward because you might want to reload a worker so that you could have more ways to unlock Path to the Peak. It's genuinely a consideration that he's got to think of here.
There are not many decks where you really want to get that worker. It's a draw free, which is generally pretty terrible, but it also lets you discard a stadium in play. And actually, if you're scared about something like Path to the Peak, then yeah, Worker actually becomes like a legitimately good supporter, even though it's one of those ones. I think it's fair to say when it was revealed, most people weren't getting terribly excited.
Yeah, I mean, draw 3s are never too exciting, but when you staple on this little bit of extra help, it finds its way into this deck list, which doesn't want to play many stadiums. It can't really afford to play that many stadium cards because it has to fit so many of these evolutions. You're playing a 4-4-4 line, essentially, of your Gardevoir with all your EXs and your Shining Arcana and such. You just don't have the space to spend on more stadium cards. You may as well weave in this one-of supporter that can sometimes draw cards in a pinch, and of course you can recycle it.
Yeah, we got 1 Temple of Sinnoh, 1 Collapsed Stadium. There really isn't very much there. Now we do see an Ultra Ball coming down from Tord. There's so much purple, Joe. And here, oh no, it looks like, now those Curly were both down last turn, were they not?
At the Rolls, yeah. So they can evolve up. And so can the Curliers, if you're right.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking kind of what are the options here, and the answer is there are actually quite a lot of options.
I think there is a candy in Tord's hand as well. The fact that we've seen the Ultra Ball means we might just be ripping the Professor's research here, getting maximum use out of this rare candy while you can. He only plays 2 copies, so weaving that in sounds pretty good.
Yeah, see, this is a deck, you don't need rare candy in this deck all the time. A lot of the time you want to go through your Curlier because you want to make sure that you've got that drawing option from Refinement, but you still want to have that burst potential of going rare candy, stage 2, boom, I am off. It does look like it's going off to the side, so Tord just leaving that option open. Do I want to evolve one of my Curlier, or do I want to go ahead and use rare candy and go up? And yeah, there are a few different options here.
And remember, Tord only needs to knock out 2 Pokemon, essentially. If all goes to plan, Tord can knock out a Genesect. He could even use the Gardevoir EX to do so with the Miracle Force itself. And then, as long as he's able to pull Zacian from prize cards, he can simply take a 4-prize turn on a Mew VMAX. So he still has many turns to go this game, and that's why we're seeing a rare candy to the benched Gardevoir now, before what's looking like, evolving into Curlier and has that research option.
I was just going to say, I love this. I love that you've got the Gardevoir and you've got the free Curlier, because one of the downsides of getting your Gardevoir out is you have to say goodbye to Curlier with that Refinement, which is so useful for drawing you extra cards. Being able to get your free Curlier out and a Gardevoir without having to go through a Curlier, huge advantage here. So we see the Professor's Research coming in for 7 fresh cards, but Tord's board here is wonderful, and Pablo might have got the early prizes, but he didn't get the right prizes, and now Tord's really starting to get going with that Gardevoir line.
And can trade away Battle VIP Pass with his final Curlier here. It is literally his mission just to cycle as many cards as possible. I think it's pretty obvious. Tord's going to try and find his 1 copy of Boss's Orders and use that on a Genesect. And see where he goes from there. He's really hoping to find Zacian from prize cards. That's the only hiccup for his game plan right now.
Yeah, now the unfortunate thing is we know, assuming players, and most players take bottom to top. That is generally the way it goes. And unfortunately, if Tord just takes the bottom 2 prizes off a Genesect, he won't hit that Zacian, which is going to actually make his prize map so much more awkward, because you're going to have to essentially take other KOs here. And Tord is not playing a huge amount of gusting, Boss's Orders being one of those 6 one-off supporters, because you just don't have room when you're playing a 4-4-4 line and you're playing a couple rare candy and everything else. You end up running out of room pretty quickly in your deck.
Tord has 1 more ability to use with that Shining Arcana, finally getting into the mix. 2 more cards for him. He's done a great job at cycling through the deck, but where's the pressure coming from? Where's the damage? Does it even feel correct to hit into this Mew VMAX currently in the active position? Try and force Pablo into a strange position where if they're using Boss's Orders, they're not using a Hand Disruptor.
I like what Pablo's done here. Pablo has left a Mew V on the bench. Right. So he's left that Psychic Leap option available to potentially, so if Tord were to come up and just hit 190 into the Mew V max, then Pablo could potentially, now it wouldn't be a big attack, it would be, 70 plus whatever modifiers, or 50 plus whatever modifiers we've got. But at least it would then heal off the damage, buy a little bit of time, because honestly, Tord's going to be cool getting a 2-hit KO on a Mew V max. That would be fine.
Yeah, it would force Pablo to use Boss's Orders and, as you say, Psychic Leap alongside some modifiers, but I feel like Tord can't sit back too much here. Unless they're going for the slap play. That's also an option. A very little prod can get you a little bit more in range, maybe even with your Shining Arcana Gardevoir.
Yeah, there are very few times where slap is going to be the best option.
Trust me, I've thought about it in this matchup. It can be relevant. It really can.
No, absolutely. It's basically 1 less energy on a Zacian later on in the game, so it can be relevant. You're absolutely right. Now, we've got the single prize Gardevoir here using Brainwave. Now, with free energy on, that's 150. That's not bad, to be honest with you. It's a decent enough poke. And the thing now, how does the maths work out here? Yeah, with 140 HP, this is a fun little interaction, because if Pablo chooses to use Psychic Leap here to heal the Mew, he's going to need modifiers just to KO the Gardevoir.
Interesting. Tord also going to embrace onto the EX as well, a second energy, just in case he gets hit with a Path of the Peak and he has no way to bounce it. So he's trying to hedge right now in case Pablo's Judge does disastrous things as he starts losing his Pokemon. Todd also debating any more energy coming onto this Gardevoir. He is going to go up to 1 additional energy onto the active.
This doesn't actually make much difference because essentially with Mew hitting 50 with Psychic Leap, it was a case of you needed 1 power tablet. If you put an extra energy on, you need 1 power tablet. So Pablo doesn't get any closer to, getting a knockout on this, but Todd does get the extra 30 damage here. So I like this a lot. And I suppose Pablo needs a Psychic Leap with a power tablet here just to prevent the 2-hit KO. That is not really what Pablo wants to be doing here, but I think that's probably the best option if he can pull it off.
And we're seeing that little counter on the Mew because it used Techno Blast last turn. So getting in and out of the active, if you are able to leap, is also something that Pablo's going to have to do here. He can reduce his hand size quite well with this Ultra Ball. Does have Boss's Orders, but is lacking that switching card right now.
Yeah, he does have a power tablet in hand, to be fair, so that part is there. Also does have a path to the peak if he wants to replace that collapsed stadium. That would be an option if he wanted to do that. Open up his bench again and potentially, it doesn't really hurt Todd at all, though, not without raiding Greninja on the field. Yeah. But it would at least open up his bench a bit.
Yeah, and it may mean that Pablo can't actually go for the leap play, which would be a big opening for Todd, actually.
Yeah, no, this would be huge. If Pablo can't Psychic Leap here, this would be absolutely huge. The downside is it would force Todd to get his 1 gusting. Ooh. The good news is it would give Todd a 50-50 chance of hitting Zacian out of the prizes if he KOs a Mew rather than a Genesect.
Exactly, and I think that's why he's going for that avenue rather than just hoping that he pulls a Zacian from prize cards. He's played this game long enough to know that you can't trust your deck, you can't trust your prize cards. You've got to find different solutions.
So it does look like a judge coming down here from Pablo, so that means no Boss's Orders, no attack in the bench for Todd.
Yeah.
This is working out in the way Todd would want. This is an awkward matchup, and it's not gone, I mean, the draws have gone beautifully, but the game as a whole hasn't gone perfectly for Todd, but I think he's navigating it beautifully, and little things like being judged rather than having, one of your Curlier taken out here could end up being quite nice. Depending on the cards he gets from Judge, they can't be as good as last time, can they?
I believe we see a switch cart for Pablo, so he can retreat and then switch cart one of his Genesect or Mew to be able to come back in and go for the Psychic Leap play if he feels like that's the best option for him, but does now need 1 damage modifier, as you say.
Well, he had the power tablet in hand previously.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't played before the judge.
No, I'm fairly sure it wasn't. And that's an awkward one because that potentially would have got the KO, but then you would have been kind of risking playing it for nothing, which is not something these Mew decks really want to do ever. So it's just kind of, it's all coming up in the wrong order a little bit for Pablo.
Yeah, no help from that Genesect, just drew into a ton of supporter cards. And I should have gone to Specsavers. I couldn't. I thought that was a switch card. I think it was the Pal Pad instead. So it looks like no help there. So this vulnerable VMAX is going to have to retreat out, and Pablo is just going to have to go for the copy Max Miracle to knock out this Gardevoir.
I mean, the good news is we do have the KO. That's lovely. The bad news is you've got that very heavily damaged Mew. And, just this 190 from Gardevoir EX not only would get the KO, but it would also allow it would also mean that you wouldn't be KO'd right back again. We do not currently have the Boss's Orders. However, it was the next card in deck. That's a little bit upsetting. Refinement would have got there, but it at least is in the deck. We've got some Refinement which can go and potentially grab it out, and Todd is going to be desperately looking for this from the Refinement. One other thing to note, he's got Sky Seal Stone and Professor's Research in hand.
Yep.
He kind of needs a Sky Seal Stone if he's... Oh, no, he doesn't anymore.
Well, doesn't.
No, it's irrelevant now because he's going after the Mew. I'm still thinking about the Genesect. Okay, that's fine. He can get rid of it.
Well, not if you research, right? Because you need to be using the Boss's Orders if you're going to go through this game plan. So
yeah,
I think we need to see some refinements first. And I think eyeballing it was a roughly 12 or 13 card deck. So not quite a 50-50. It's sort of below that in order to be able to find the Boss's Orders here.
And there's no more Finning, unfortunately. There's nothing in his hand which can grab a Pokemon or an energy or something out of his deck to up his chances a little bit more. Of course, the fewer cards you've got in deck, the more likely you are. It's why you see players pulling out Pokemon they don't need from their deck just because it means they're not going to draw into them. It ups the chances they get what they want. So here, Tord's got one more. I know he's used both his refinements.
Yeah, he's not found what he needs, unfortunately.
Oh.
And just by hitting into this VMAX, Pablo has a real avenue now to win in simply 2 attacks. He's been pretty diligent keeping his power tablets around. We need to see them rushing onto the board this turn.
Yeah, he had a chance to power tablet last turn, chose not to use it. So here it really is a case of you've had them, you need them back now. Now we do have Forest Seal Stone, which is available, which will guarantee one of them, which is rather lovely. The question is he going to be able to find enough of them? As it is, he's hitting 190. Would he need all 4 here?
Yeah, he's actually prized 1 as well, so it may not even be an option. It's actually in the top right of his prize card, so hasn't even retrieved it just yet. So instead is going to Echoing Horn back a mana fee, and it's once again time to judge.
Yeah, and unfortunately we'd need to do 290. With the 190, that's a 210 minus 20 from double turbo. That would mean an extra 100 damage. Each of those power tablets do 30 more, so with 3 you would be 10 damage short. And with 1 prized, and with Choice Belt not affecting EXs, that is just Pokemon V, that means I believe Pablo is completely out of range here. And, I mean, was Tord thinking about that when he only used 1 ability onto the Gardevoir?
Yeah, I've got to think. I'm going to go out and say I think Tord was thinking about it. We do see the escape rope, though. This is pretty big for Pablo.
Yeah, it's an easy decision to put the mana fee up, but it does mean an easy prize.
Yeah, and possibly even an easy leap. He could get rid of one of these heavily damaged Mew V Max if he's able to draw into or use Forest Seal Stone for a power tablet.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can guarantee a power tablet with Forest Seal Stone. Whether it's important enough, that is a question. Now, we do see a Cramomatic coming down here, and it is a heads, so that is absolutely huge. Don't need to use Forest Seal Stone, so you've got to imagine this is probably going to be a power tablet, so you can Psychic Leap, heal up a Mew, take out the mana fee, and really get very, very close to finishing this game off.
Yeah, it definitely feels tempting for Pablo to make this play, but he's got to make sure he's going through the motions correctly. If your 1 other VMAX is sort of dealt with, how does that affect your board? How can Tord try and pick apart the remainder? These are things going through Pablo's mind right now.
Yeah, he does seem to be eyeing up that Lost Vacuum, and it does seem to be the choice here. Getting rid of that collapsed stadium to, you know, open up his bench again without having to ability lock himself with Path to the Peak is always a fun one.
Yeah, wants to just cycle more cards. This unlocks his hand as well as his board a little bit. So it's a nice play to go for. And just set yourself up a little bit more this turn, knowing that you still have that Forest Seal Stone fallback.
Yeah, and that is so nice, having it on the board, just being able to know that at some point during the game, you can go and get whatever card you want, and there's going to be no issues, no complaints. Doesn't even get turned off by Path to the Peak because it's not an ability on the Pokemon, so
we need to put a target into the Lost Zone. It's got to be one of those 2 Forest Seal Stones for Pablo, but because he has 2, I think it's completely fine. One of these should be joining the Lost... Oh, no, he got rid of the collapse stadium.
He got rid of the collapse stadium.
I'm tired, Ross.
There's been a lot of Pokemon played. I think you're doing all right, Joe. But that's why there's 2 of us here. We can catch each other's follies. Now, Path to the Peak does actually go down, so that's kind of an interesting one. You use Lost Vacuum to get rid of the stadium and then just play your own stadium anyway.
Right.
But I kind of like this because it turns off weird plays from Tord if he's able to get something like his Greninja back. So, or Luminion, which of course is actually in hand, so turning off Luminion probably way more relevant here. So, we haven't seen Psychic Leap yet.
No, and I think this opens the door for Tord. He has an easy route to 3 prize cards. The only issue is it's using sometimes this 2 prize Pokemon that's currently in the active position. You may try and want to retrieve your Shining Arcana Gardevoir. That could be a great way to finish off this Mew and put your Gardevoir EX back onto the bench where possibly it's a little safer. He may even eye up using Worker just to once again get rid of another Path of the Peak. It depends on how many Pablo's been through at this point. He has some options though, and a good amount of draw as well.
Yeah, you've got those couple refinement from those Curlier, which is going to work very nicely indeed. I mean, the good news is, I believe we haven't actually seen the power tablet taken by Pablo, which means that Gardevoir should still be out of reach. Now, here we see the judge coming down, and that means that Pablo is going to have a 4-card hand, and this is where Path to the Peak can actually hurt Mew a lot more than it helps. When you're judged down to a small hand and you don't have access to your Genesect, there are times that this can actually come back to bite you.
Yep, the Path of the Peak does work both ways. Pablo plays 4 copies of that Lost Vacuum, and he's drawn straight into one, so at least he's not slowed down. Tord will be able to judge, and now can refine twice to get as close to the bottom of his deck as possible.
Now he gets a Miriam and a Temple of Sinnoh here. It's not exactly what you're looking for. And Tord's just looking again. He's like, I've got to find it in a minute. It's definitely in there. Professor's research, quite easy refinement fodder at this stage. You don't want to play that card. Yeah. That would be bad. There's the boss's orders, though. He does get it off that refinement. So it's not necessarily terribly relevant this turn. There is a very easy target. But it does mean that it's available next turn for whatever Tord might want. Now we are going to see free prizes being taken. And did he hit? No, he didn't hit the Zacian. So the Zacian V is not available, unfortunately. He did hit the Gardevoir. Yep. But yeah, as you see on the screen there, both those Zacian V still in the prizes. So that could be a little bit awkward because sometimes you just need attackers.
Yeah, the good news is that Pablo has to attack with AV Max. So he's really locked in. So Pablo probably wants to try and take a single prize knockout here and leap back into the deck, if possible. That's got to be Pablo's route.
Yeah, it feels really bad here if all you do is heal your Mew and do just like a little bit of chip damage to Gardevoir, do like 50 damage to Gardevoir. You're not getting close enough to a KO there. I mean, you're not even actually setting up a KO next turn without any damage modifiers. And all you're really doing is trying to hurt your opponent. Now, we do see the escape rope coming down, so that is going to give a KO on the Curlier, but it's, well, assuming we get some kind of damage modifier, of course, but we have to see the Psychic Leap this turn. We have to see it, or else Tord is just going to attack and KO. That is going to be slightly awkward for Pablo, because it means that you are going to have to go and get the VMAX and the energy, or the energy's on board. You're going to have to get the VMAX next turn. It's not that difficult, to be fair, but it does just introduce a little hurdle here. So this is getting very, very interesting. Pablo's going to get down to 1 prize remaining, and then the question is, can Tord take out, well, I mean, it's either 2 Vs or a Mew VMAX, neither of which is a perfect situation.
And Tord's kept his board very tight right now. There's not many other Pokemon on the field, so if Pablo does take the single prize, which is obviously what's being eyed up for this Psychic Leap, Tord can then evolve into the other Gardevoir EX at this point, and again try and be as chunky as possible. Pablo, not wanting to waste power tablets, is going to go after the already damaged Curlier, and can now leap his damaged VMAX back into the deck.
Yeah, it's a little play, but it's a big one. Now you don't need a damage modifier anymore, and that incidentally is why Tord put the undamaged Curlier active, trying to force Pablo into just using extra resources. And we did see Tord did take the Gardevoir EX, that lovely special illustration rare, came out of the prizes.
We need to see which prize Pablo takes here. Is it going to be the power tablet? Because otherwise Tord can go double EX, take a 2-prize knockout, and Pablo will have no way to take a KO.
It is the power tablet.
The power tablet.
Yeah, that could be big. I know, I don't think he's played any power tablet yet, has he?
So reserved. This is amazing for Pablo that he's protected them the entire game, if we've been following correctly.
Because if he's got all 4 available, that is an absolute game changer here. Potentially going and getting a big KO. And you see Pablo even just like, go on then, KO the Mew. I don't care. I've got a Mew of energy on. I can VMAX. I'm good.
2 prizes ain't 3, Tord.
I mean, I can confirm your maths on that one, Joe. That is definitely correct. And this is super interesting.
Yeah, so 0 power tablets in Pablo's discard pile. So well played that he's been able to protect these.
And you know that's what Tord was looking for just then. So now I'm just desperately looking at Tord's deck list, and I'm like, what hand disruption has he got left? He's played Judge.
Has Roxanne.
I was going to say, has he played his Roxanne yet?
It's in the hand, and there's the path still in play. The only thing is that Pablo has also been able to keep his Forest Seal Stone around. Still hasn't fit that V-Star marker. He's well protected.
Yeah, there's and then Pablo, and this is the kind of thing, it is these little plays that really separate the best in the world from just very good players. It's things like, I'm not using my Forest Seal Stone and you can't make me. I'm not playing Power Tablet and you can't make me. And then it gets round to the end of the game, and, you know, back when we had N in the format, when I was a newer player, I was like, how does my opponent always have N at the perfect time? And the answer was, they were good players conserving their resources and saving it for the perfect time. So it's not a case of, oh my goodness, how lucky is Pablo to still have 4 Power Tablet available. Pablo has played this game basically going, I'm not playing them, you can't make me, I will have them available.
Tord offering the one-card shuffle. He's still out here having fun. And honestly, this has been such a great game to watch. It's really a nail-biter at this stage. I'm not sure if there's many other plays. Tord obviously has far too few cards to try and stall Pablo here with the boss's orders play. The Roxanne is just far less powerful when you know your opponent can cherry-pick their way out of Path of the Peak lock. Yes. So it's just going to be a hit here for 2 prize cards for Tord, by the looks of things.
Yeah. I mean, the KO isn't the problem. Tord getting KOs is not the problem. The problem is trying to make sure Pablo doesn't. Now, here we go. We got 1 power tablet in hand. We've got Lost Vacuum to get rid of Path to the Peak. That is huge for turning on your Genesect.
Yep.
So there is the Lost Vacuum straight away, getting rid of the boss's orders. The boss's orders is not going to help this game. So that goes away, and then now it is literally just a case of how many power tablet can you draw. There is
That's
one.
That's a 1.
Now you are only drawing till 4 cards in hand, but it is a small deck at the moment. Ooh.
Yep, hitting Roxanne, not bad. This could be one of your best draw supporters at this stage.
And Mew is very nice because it's a card you can fin from your hand, which will then power up your remaining Genesect. So, I mean, we're not there yet, but Roxanne could end up being pretty good. We got Genesect still on the field. You can basically end up with an empty hand and then just draw with and then draw up with Genesect after Roxanne.
Pablo going to do some quick mental gymnastics to see whether or not you should use that second Genesect, because he's holding on to 1 cram, so any item that he draws into then could translate into hand thinning and then possibly even more power tablets. But I like this line more. I like seeing this Roxanne straight away. Because it gives you a fresh hand to work with, and if you have thinnables at this stage, or even if you don't, you could just Forest Seal Stone for like maybe another Ultra Ball and go down even lower. It's pretty likely that Pablo could get to the bottom of his deck this turn.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Forest Seal Stone is not necessarily here for power tablet this turn. Yeah. It could just be for emptying out your hand. There's a second power tablet.
And Ultra Ball, incredible.
Oh, and
multiple Ultra Ball. This hand is insane.
Yeah, this is very, very good. Has he got 6 cards in hand there?
Yeah, it was the Roxanne, not the Genesect.
There we go. Okay, we're good. So there goes the Mew coming down here. That's just 1 less card to worry about. Now we see the Ultra Ball, and we're going to grab the Mew. No, there's nothing. We're going to grab nothing. We're going to grab nothing, Joe.
Yeah, Pablo only actually plays 8 basics. He's not playing the one of Oricorio. He's just quad Mew, quad Genesect. So the Collapse Stadium's actually limited his draw even in this later stage because he had to get rid of a Genesect early.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's not many cards left in deck at this stage. Is a judge having a bit of a shuffle there?
Yeah, just making sure everything's above board with the shuffle. This is, of course, a ton of drawing, so this is like the crucial... This is the climax after 40 minutes of play right now.
That's the thing. We've put it up to 75 minutes. We're not going to get probably a full best of 3 at this stage. We are 40 minutes into our game here, so...
Oh, boy.
We've got a Cram-O-Matic. Oh, and we've got a Cram-O-Matic.
The Forest Seal Stone will do it, though. No need for the fireworks. Forest Seal Stone for the 4th power tablet. So well played from Pablo to keep these resources around the entire game. Wow, exceptional stuff in this first of a best of 3. Still 35 minutes on the clock, but that felt huge.
Yeah, that was such a huge win for Pablo. We finally heard the TCG cheer going up.
That deserved it.
Yeah, that absolutely deserved it. You know, it's not just VG that get the cheers, Joe. We get them too. And that was very well played by Pablo. And it was little things like halfway through the game and we're like, well, he could use a power tablet here. And then just, you know, you get the Psychic Leap and then get a KO and like, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. We're good.
Yeah, even spending boss's orders at times, thinking that's less of a vital resource. And how often do you see Mew players just sort of throw these away to get the additional draw throughout the game with Genesect whilst you're tunnel-visioned in on your ideal turn on the turn that you're currently in? But Pablo knows exactly the state of play, knows to hold these resources for that burst potential, because Tord left himself with a really strange board state that you wouldn't really expect to see from a Gardevoir trying to make it as difficult as possible. But Pablo snuffed that out and had a great flourish there.
No, absolutely did. That was fantastically well played by Pablo, just being incredibly patient, and it's really setting up, and it just shows somebody who knows the matchup. Pablo knows, if I'm going to get a one-hit KO on a Gardevoir, I need 4 power tablets. Choice Belt isn't going to help. Fewer than 4 power tablets isn't going to help. I need to make sure I've got all 4 power tablets in one turn, and that can get awkward. It could end up clumping up your hand as you're trying to draw with Genesect, but that didn't end up happening. One in the prizes actually ended up being kind of an advantage in the end, because it basically kept it from clogging up his hand until he actually needed to go and use it and get that big KO. So very well played game by both players there, but it's like we said, Mew seems to have the answer to, in an even matchup, seems to have the answer. We got a Genesect, a Mew, a double turbo, free Psychic Energy for Tord out of 12, so that's probably not a huge deal.
Feels rough for both though.
Yeah.
Your one of Miriam as well can sometimes be pretty important for one of Roxanne if you're Tord. And as you said, a few of those basics for Pablo, that's a little awkward. Tord, though, is back in the swing of things, straight into the Battle VIP pass.
Turn 1 Battle VIP pass always feels good. Go and get any 2 basics, but it only works on your very first turn of the game. It's a card that a lot of people dismissed when they first saw it and went, nah, that is not going to be worth it. And then people started testing it. And when people started testing it, they were like, oh, wait, no, this card is cracked. It's amazing.
Yep, as is this one of Celebrations Mew. It's a fantastic card to give you extra reach in those opening stages. Tord does have a Psychic Energy in hand, so we'll be retreating into that Mysterious Tail, looking for, no doubt, more Battle VIP Pass would be a great thing, but any Ball Search will do.
It's quite nice kind of playing Battle VIP Pass to get your one of Mew, to get it in the active, to try and find another Battle VIP Pass. But of course, we know, as weird as it is, Tord needs a couple of sacrificial Pokemon turn 1 here. Oh, doesn't get it, but it is an Ultra Ball, which is not too shabby. Tord needs to give up a couple of prizes in the early game. It is going to happen. So having things like Mew, like Manaphy, like Radiant Greninja that aren't really core to his Gardevoir strategy, just be able to throw in the active and give up those prizes, as weird as it sounds, that can be a big advantage when you've got cards you don't mind losing so much.
Tord discarding Judge as well as Cresselia with this Ultra Ball, just to get an additional Pokemon into play. He knows that he's got at least a turn against Pablo because their pressure doesn't start until a VMAX is on the board, so he will get to double dip this Mew, and we'll probably get a few trades along the way as well, the refinements I should say. I'm so used to seeing Tord using Zoroark GX as Pablo starts off with a Tails on Cram.
After throwing away a power tablet, we've literally just finished saying how big they were in the previous game.
Well, that game got strange, mostly because Tord had prized their Zacian, such a key piece to the matchup. And now, just what we said, sometimes you just got to throw away the tablets because the hand says so.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Pablo doesn't want to throw away these tablets. We saw how useful they were. But the fact of the matter is sometimes your hand is terrible and you need to search out some Pokemon. So they have to go. You have to thin out your hand a little bit. And there's no Battle VIP Pass. And the thing is, Genesect is great. But we always think about Genesect as drawing until you've got 6 cards in hand. When Genesect's drawing until you've got 2 cards in hand, it is a very different Pokemon.
Yeah, that Cram-O-Matic flip could end up being huge, as it looks like Pablo is seeing 1 card from this Fusion Strike system, unless he's able to thin the one from hand as well.
It's a switch card, so yes.
Yep, straight back into the Mew, and 2 cards only.
This is going to be big. What do we see? It is a Mew and a Mew V Max. That is Pablo's entire hand is a Mew V Max. And yes, I know we're going to have a Fusion Strike system next turn, but that is very, very big. Temple of Sinnoh comes down, which is actually really good in this matchup, although Pablo plays 4 Stadium, 4 Lost Vacuums. So it's probably not sticking around. But it still could be annoying if Pablo's trying to get a KO next turn. And then we see the Professor's Research, new hand of 7 with 3 routes on the bench. Tord's deck works.
Yep, he's getting into things and can now thin plenty of Pokemon out before using the Mew. And a very niche play here. You're seeing the silly attachment of that Sky Seal Stone, tee-hee. But no, actually, with Penny in your deck, you can get the Seal Stone back if it's not dealt with.
Yeah, you absolutely can. There is 1 Sky Seal Stone in Tord's deck, so you're kind of betting here, hoping that your opponent isn't going to be able to get a KO, and it's not that likely. Pablo's basically going to have a 3-card hand, maybe a little bit of thinning here, but you know, you need the Mew V Max, you need the energy. just in order to get rolling here, but you'll also need an answer to Temple of... I mean, it's like the best time to get Temple of Sinnoh when your opponent's got a very small hand and you think they might not have a counter. We even see Rare Candy into Gardevoir EX here. This is a very strong start, and Fog Crystal, yeah, here we go for the energy.
Yeah, plenty of energy now, so Tord can put the pressure on. He can be taking prizes this turn, and also still has that mysterious tail to go. Tord only plays 2 copies of Rare Candy, but with that Professor's Research and a few digs with Refinement, you do get there.
Yeah, that worked very nicely indeed. Got it out. Now we do see the Mew ability coming down. Look at the top 6. Try and find yourself an item card. It's another Fog Crystal. And I love this one-of Mew. It's not, you know, your main engine here, but if you can find it nice and early and it's searchable off a level ball, battle VIP pass, a bunch of cards that can find it, get it in the active, you know, even if you have to pay retreat, and it just gets you those extra items, 1 or 2, and often that is all you need to kind of get rolling here. So the Fog Crystal gets another Psychic Energy, of course. As we know, we want them in the discard.
Yep, essential for Tord, and I believe there's a prized Ralts, which is why we're not seeing any of those coming onto the board. Actually, no Ralts in the prizes, so actually just choosing more Psychic Energy. May even need to Ultra Ball some of these away. I believe there's 2 already in there, so it could be using Psychic Embrace to retreat your Mew, then embracing 2 onto your EX, and then getting that turn attachment in for Tord to be able to launch 190 damage and knock out this Mew V.
And this is potentially absolutely huge for Tord. Getting this turn 1 attack with Gardevoir EX, taking the first 2 prizes, but also, he's already seen some power tablets hit the discard pile. He knows a response KO is not coming. This Gardevoir will get another attack in. That is absolutely gigantic. The Gardevoir is not supposed to be the aggressor in this matchup, but you're taking the first 2 prizes, and then you're basically saying to Pablo, that 1 card in hand better be good. And actually, there's now going to be 2 fusion Pokemon out rather than 3, which is huge because Pablo has nothing. Oh, that is not a good draw at all.
No.
1 card off Genesect, Cramomatic. This is such a huge flip. It's a Tails.
Oh, shot.
Oh, is he he's looking like he might concede the game right here. We saw a big
it's a concession
from the crowd. There is a concession. We are 1 game each. And hey, remember when I said we weren't getting a full best of 3, Joe?
Well,
I lied.
27 minutes on the clock, and wow, that again, another twist in the tail. Neither of these games really have gone to plan. Things have gone wrong for both players throughout. Awkward prize cards, awkward hands, awkward coin flips with Cram. This is Pokemon, and we're in the top 4. It's high stakes. There's been some goofy stuff happening, but now we got to focus up. It's game 3.
Yeah, there is a lot on the line. You know, Tord really desperate for those extra championship points. Wants to be the first player to 1,700, which is an absurd number. Pretty sure he's going to be the championship point leader after this event. That seems like a fair prediction to make. But, you know, both of these players, they've got their invite. It's not about the invite. At this stage, it is about being a champion. These are 2 of the top players in the world. They're having good seasons. They've got plenty of championship points. It is about making sure that they can get into the final, you know, and face Alex Szymanski to try and be the EUIC champion, and Mew doesn't usually go that badly. That is that is an aberration. That is not how Mew generally tends to roll. Mew has better games and worse games, but it rarely has really bad games like that. So if I'm Pablo, I'm still feeling good. You beat Tord in round 14, you beat Tord in game 1, and you just had about the worst case scenario. Bearing in mind, it wasn't just the draws. There were 2 Cramomatic flips, both of which came up tails. So
yeah, you can categorically say that you got very unlucky in that second game after playing your heart out in the first. So in this one, at least he gets to begin the game and gets a fresh 7 cards, so can try and get back into the swing of things. Does have a mulligan to start things out, though.
Yeah, Tord's got at least a route, so Tord's will be starting off Battle VIP Pass and Level Ball in hand, plus some energy, so I'm kind of loving Tord's hand here.
Yep.
Question is, can Pablo have a better hand than last time? Oh, that one-off Mew, we like that Mew, Joe.
Oh, the Sky Sealstone, right?
That too, that also is quite big.
As much as we like the Mew, I like the Sky Sealstone a lot more in this matchup.
Oh, absolutely. It can be so huge to try and get 4 prizes off a Mew V Max, so you just need to take out a Genesect, and that is the game. That is absolutely one of the big prize maps that Tord's going for here.
We're looking good for Pablo. I think I saw Forest Sealstone, and that can translate into all sorts of cards to fix his hand.
Yeah, we got 2 Cramomatic and a Genesect in the prizes. It's not as bad as Tord's prizes. I think we are probably going to be okay here. So, we just zoom down into the game, and we've already got a Mew, we've got a Genesect, we've got a double colorless energy, and there we see the Forest Seal Stone. Gee whiz, I wonder what he's going for.
Well, with his hand as it is, well, VIP Pass is the obvious choice.
It's Battle VIP Pass, Joe. It's got to be Battle VIP Pass.
I mean, it could have been Ultra Ball, you know, because he has a lot of junk in his hand. He's got escape ropes that I guess he just insta-plays now, throws away those resources, and will start topping back up with these Genesect now.
Yeah, I love going for the 2 Genesect here. And I know the standard is 2 Mew, 2 Genesect early, but if you don't have a great hand, like you say, it's a little bit clogged here, go double Genesect. You're not going to need that other Mew for at least a turn now. Yes, Tord can do these funky KOs super quickly, but actually he's not doing it when you go first. It's going to take him a minimum of 2 turns, so that gives you a little bit of extra time. Draw with Genesect, and there is something to it, I think. When you have a game like we just had where you draw so poorly, I'm sure sometimes players do go a little bit Genesect heavy after that, going, you know what, I just want to see a bunch of cards.
I never want to draw like that ever again. As Pablo will establish multiple Genesect, and as you say, has that buffer, doesn't have to worry too much about early pressure from Tord. I feel like we could even just see double rope burn here. Yeah, it's going to be the retreat, so just a single rope being burnt, at least to begin with, and then a Future Strike system for 1 card. And just the pass.
Yeah, and there's not much more you need as Pablo. You need the VMAX next turn to start attacking. You've got energy, you've got Judge, you've got Fusion Strike system in play. Now, Tord does have that turn 1 Battle VIP pass, and we did see a level ball as well. So we're going to see a bunch of Pokemon coming out here. The problem is, this is the kind of game Pablo wants to play. Tord goes second, gets a bunch of Pokemon out, Pablo gets to KO 1, and then Tord hopes he starts evolving up. But Pablo's going to be almost certainly a prize up before Tord even gets a chance to evolve. And the longer it takes to get rolling, get evolving, get all your Gardevoir out, the more prizes Pablo's actually going to be able to take.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think I could have picked a better hand for Tord right now. I think the only thing he's lacking is a supporter, because he has a ton of ball search and a ton of energy to work with, and even some curliers for next turn. Like, everything is looking so great for this opener for Tord.
Yeah, it does have a rare candy as well, so if he's able to find himself a Gardevoir, we could see a turn 2. Of course, the turn 2 is not going to be as good as it was last game, because last game you got the turn 2 before the evolution, KOing that Mew. It's not going to be as impactful this game, but that is something Tord could maybe be looking for if he's able to find his way to that Genesect off of, that Gardevoir off of a refinement. For now, level ball.
Yeah, more and more Rolts. I think all 4 will be hitting the board this turn because there is no Celebrations Mew. That's in the prize cards. So I think we just get as many out as possible, then go for a cheeky concealed cards, and I think that'll be it.
Sounds pretty good to me, honestly. Getting 4 routes out, going concealed cards. I mean, do you try and retreat the routes here? Just kind of try and put the the Greninja active, just giving your opponent a more awkward attack? Or do you just go, you know what, I've got 4 routes, I don't mind you KOing 1. I kind of like the idea of keeping Greninja and keeping those concealed cards for the next couple of turns.
Yeah, decent question. No matter what, I feel like just getting the 10 damage in is actually relevant. The teleportation burst. I'm always thinking about the math. Putting down Pablo to 300 hit points means 1 less energy required later if you're going for a Shining Arcana Gardevoir knockout, or if you're looking even for your Zacian to get into the mix. So 10 damage from teleportation burst is actually relevant here.
And you can even switch to the bench into your Radiant Greninja if you want to as well.
Yeah, best of both worlds.
Oh, okay, no, that's what I want to see now. And there is absolutely no reason, incidentally, to manually retreat the routes when you could do 10 damage and switch to the bench and keep the energy.
Tord knows. Look at this.
Yeah,
show me the 10 damage. Show me that dice.
But you're right, we're working on multiples to 3 here, so getting down from 310 to 300 is actually genuinely relevant, because 300 is a nice, clean multiple of 3, so there's the 10 damage. And it is, there is a decision being made here.
Yeah.
It does look like Tord is willing to give up one of the routes, but
Tord only has 1 curlier in hand, so that's kind of the debate going on right now. But Greninja can get shut off every now and then just by Path of the Peak, so I feel like throwing this into the active definitely does make sense as well.
And of course, Pablo's deck is quite focused on Path to the Peak and, loving to combine that with Judge. Tord knows that at this point, so that Greninja can be a little bit of a liability. So there was clearly a bit of a thought process there, routes or Greninja. I like Greninja going into the active because I love the idea of just being able to go, Curlier, Curlier, Curlier. Oh, wait, rare candy Gardevoir, yay!
And you worked so hard to get this 10 damage in as well. You don't want to allow that to get leaped away.
Well, absolutely not.
As it stands, Pablo actually getting rid of Judge and Escape Rope. Two pretty strong cards, to be honest with you. It's going to be a Pal Pad for the Judge back into the deck. And I believe there's only just a double Turbo Energy in Pablo's hand. So we're going to see a top-up of cards with the first Genesect before any other action. Knowing that Pablo has a knockout already established, what else can he come up with this turn?
I mean, this is one of those beautiful times. You kind of want a second Mew so that you can potentially have a second Mew VMAX next turn. It's always nice, you know, firstly, the free retreat, so you switch and retreat is nice, or even just retreating and then attacking with another Mew. So,
ugh. That is junk. He's drawn into his Path of the Peak. He still has that double turbo. He could turn attach that to a Genesect just to see one additional card here. And yeah, has the VMAX. This is awful.
Yeah, we do see the turn attach, which you might only be playing 4 energy. Realistically, you need 2 energy.
That's also awful. It's a refund. You get to get 1 more card with your final Genesect now.
What are we going to see? Oh, it's a choice bout, which is not good in this matchup really at all. It is relevant for getting a KO on Zacian, to be fair.
That is so poor for Pablo. He's already just played his Escape Ropes as well and wasn't able to develop another Mew, so he may really struggle to even chain these attacks because he was forced into a Techno Blast this turn.
Yeah, that is, and again, that's another reason why Greninja going active is so good. Obviously, you couldn't actually do a Psychic Leap without the Mew anyway, but you've had to use a Techno Blast. There's no other Mew on the bench. That Mew was the only thing Pablo needed. Not having it's actually sneaky kind of awkward here. So, I mean, if I'm Tord, I want an attack this turn desperately. Now, and when there is a rare candy Ultra Ball in hand, so we can do it.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot, but Tord's going to get to work. He has a lot of cards to see. And the first things first, going to see a Fog Crystal getting rid of Psychic Energy. We know we need to see these lots and bin these lots if we're going to get anywhere this turn.
And this is actually kind of awesome because it just gives you a really good target for that Ultra Ball, making sure that you can chuck it into the discard pile and then accelerate it with your EX a little bit later on. So that's kind of lovely. We do have a second Curlier here, so we can start rolling. Now, there is actually the non-EX Gardevoir in hand. Oh, it's a Penny and a Fog Crystal.
More Psychic really required here.
Yeah, and of course that is, again, can just be thrown away with the Ultra Ball. But I do think you need the EX here. That is going to be your attacking threat. It's going to be too awkward to get enough energy onto the non-EX Gardevoir. I think that's a next turn thing.
I mean, there's a world where Pablo's Pokemon gets knocked out here. His VMAX could go down if we see enough Psychic Energy and can pitch enough Psychic Energy.
Yeah, because of course that Zacian could come out and just get absolutely powered up. We see another Curlier here. I think the fact that we keep seeing the bench ones evolve is very telling. It's leaving that active open to be able to evolve up and potentially attack. So
I need 3 in the discard pile. I don't think it's in Tord's reach this turn.
No.
You'd need to have 6 that you could put all onto your Shining Arcana Gardevoir, and then you could turn attach as well. So that would be just far too many to find here.
I mean, it would be lovely. It would amuse me greatly. I would have a great time if we got to see that. But I just really like the idea of saying to your opponent, I know that your hand is clogged because you weren't drawing much with your Genesect. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to hit for hopefully 190 with a Gardevoir EX. And then from there, I can hopefully just get a 2-hit KO on Mew. And you have got to get a Mew down this turn. And I know your hand ain't great.
Tord is going to Ultra Ball away Penny and VIP Pass. It is finally that Gardevoir EX. So it feels like it's time to get into the mix with that rare candy that we know is already stashed in hand. So Tord can start turning the screw here and putting some pressure on Pablo, sensing that once again his hand is not fantastic.
No, and we love this. There's the rare candy. There's the Gardevoir. Now we can turn attach and just use the ability once here, just leaving the 2 damage on Gardevoir, which we know is very, very relevant. So just everything about, and Tord has drawn good and all of that, but the way Tord has sequenced this and set up is absolutely beautiful. And he's ended his turn with 3 Curlier on the bench for draw, a Gardevoir EX fully powered up in the active, going after that Mew, and it's not a KO, but that Mew can't chain attacks. There's no backup Mew. Pablo's hand is clogged. It's a power tablet. And there's a boss's orders, and you can play Paths to the Peak, but that doesn't really help when you want to use your Genesect. So This is just awkward at this stage.
Yeah, Pablo even has to play the path but to try and stop Psychic Embrace so Tord can't come straight back into the active position. Pablo's having it rough this game.
He absolutely is. Now, to be fair, Tord doesn't have very much here. We see the refinement. It's a level ball and a battle VIP pass. But we can now level ball, and then we've got 2 more refinement. And again, you level ball first, you take a card out of your deck, if there is one. You don't want Manaphy. What you do want is 1 fewer card in your deck to make it more likely that your refinement is going to then get you what you want. So you see what Pablo did here, trying to strand that curler in the active while turning off Gardevoir's ability, but Tord has got some options.
Yep, and a couple more refinements to go. Battle VIP pass going to hit the bin. I think there already is the counter stadium in Tord's hands, so...
Oh yeah, he's got Collapse Stadium literally in hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we see boss's orders from this next refinement, it could be game over.
I think that would be as good as game over, honestly. Boss's orders, KO in the only Mew, and then after that, it's going to take Pablo 2 turns to launch an attack, by which point you're 5 prizes up at least.
And Tord actually has Ultra Ball as well, so can replace Stadium, find Luminion, and guarantee boss here.
Oh, I love that play, Joe. That would be a good play. Yeah, I like that.
As long as we have all the pieces, got to check some prize cards here real quick. Yeah, looks like everything's lined up for Tord. He can knock out Pablo's only Mew threat. And yeah, then it feels like he's running away with this game.
Yeah, and after game 1, it really did not look like that was going to be a thing. But we do see the Ultra Ball coming down now. And it looks like we are, yeah, there's that that alternate art Luminion. There is a bench space there for it. Replace the stadium first, that's very important.
Just slide that away real quick. And this Luminion, this has not been seen in many Gardevoirs before. This is a Tord innovation, their testing group.
Oh my goodness, Pablo concedes immediately, and Tord is in the finals of the European International Championships, going for number 5, and it was as simple as that. As soon as just takes advantage of everything, every tiny little thing. And you know, maybe in some games that would have been too early to grab an EX, but Tord goes, I just saw that you drew very few cards off of your Genesect. I am going after that Muton, I'm going after it hard. And then we saw in that last turn, making sure you get that Luminion, get the boss's orders, and just, that's the thing. Game 1, Tord didn't really have much of a chance. Games 2 and Games 3, Tord was really making sure, I am going to do everything I can to make sure I get this win.
It's just that mental fortitude. I feel like after losing that first game in such a long fashion, drawn out, very methodical, very back and forth between both players, it's so easy to feel demoralized and down on yourself.